It was Meghan who leaked all those rumors that William was having an affair with Rose Hanbury.
I've heard all of that, that Meghan is the one that instigated this.
The royal family has survived scandal after scandal, but nothing hit harder than the whispers that Prince William had been unfaithful with Rose Hanbury, the Marchioness of Cholmondeley. The rumor ripped through tabloids, shook the monarchy, and had palace aides scrambling for damage control. But here's the shocking twist. Whispers say Meghan Markle herself may have been the shadowy hand behind it all. Yes, the Duchess, who once claimed to be the victim of relentless media attacks, is now accused of planting one of the most devastating rumors ever aimed at her own in-laws. The claim is as ruthless as it is unbelievable that Meghan used her connections, her PR machine, and her carefully crafted image as chaos agent to slip the story into circulation, letting it spiral until the palace couldn't contain it. And the breadcrumbs are hard to ignore. A single tweet from journalist Giles Coren casually confirming the affair, Meghan's alleged ties to Soho House insiders who helped funnel gossip to the press, even late-night comedy shows in the US name-dropping Rose years later, always with Meghan somehow in the orbit of the conversation. This isn't just royal drama, this is calculated narrative warfare. A duchess accused of destabilizing the very institution she married into, not by accident, but by design. And that's the brutal twist. Meghan isn't just in the story. Critics claim she's the director, orchestrating headlines, feeding the frenzy, and shifting the spotlight whenever her own image is under fire. There's so much to unpack here, and we need to get to it right now before this story gets buried under palace silence and legal threats. Because if Meghan truly lit the match on the Rose Hanbury affair rumor, then this wasn't just gossip, it was sabotage. The Rose Hanbury affair rumor didn't just appear out of thin air. It had a clear ignition point, one tweet that sent shockwaves through royal circles. Journalist Giles Coren, infamous for his reckless comments, casually tweeted that William's alleged affair with Rose was an open secret in aristocratic circles. The tweet was deleted almost instantly, but not before screenshots captured it and set the internet on fire. Now here's where things get suspicious. Only a handful of people saw Coren's tweet live. It should have vanished into the void. But instead, it exploded, picked up by blogs, whispered about on forums, and suddenly plastered across social media feeds around the world. Almost overnight, the rumor became unstoppable. Critics argue that this wasn't just random virality. They claim the acceleration looked orchestrated, with whispers pointing toward Meghan's alleged network of friends at Soho House. That elite circle, often described as Meghan's private PR playground, has been tied to media leaks before. The theory goes that Meghan leveraged her connections to ensure the rumor didn't die in the shadows of Coren's deleted tweet, but instead grew into a scandal the palace couldn't ignore. And the timing couldn't be overlooked. Meghan and Harry were already under fire, facing questions about their standing within the royal family. What better way to deflect scrutiny than by dropping a bomb so big it would rock William and Kate? It sounds sinister, but that's why the rumor has clung to Meghan ever since. A single tweet may have sparked the fire, but the way it spread fast, global, and relentless felt less like gossip and more like a carefully timed detonation.
I think it was in 2012, the Republican Party lost the female vote by 12 points. That's a huge number. And with as misogynistic as Trump is and so vocal about it.
Right.
And that's the first breadcrumb. Because once you frame Meghan as the chaos agent, the rest of the pattern falls into place. If there's one label Meghan's critics love to slap on her, it's the chaos agent. And when you look at the Rose Hanbury affair scandal through that lens, the pieces start clicking together in ways that are hard to ignore. The theory goes like this. Meghan, facing criticism over her own behavior inside the royal family, allegedly planted or amplified the Rose rumor as a tactical distraction. By igniting whispers of William's infidelity, she effectively shifted public attention away from her own controversies and placed the heat squarely on the Cambridges. And let's be honest, Meghan always understood the power of narrative. From Hollywood to Buckingham Palace, she knew headlines were currency. Every glowing profile, every sob story, every dramatic reveal built her image brick by brick. But the same tools could just as easily be used to tear someone else's down. Critics say Meghan and Harry resented being overshadowed by William and Kate. The Cambridges were seen as the future, the alpha royals, while Meghan and Harry were sidelined as the rebellious B team. What better way to level the playing field than by hinting that William, the future king, wasn't so squeaky clean after all? And here's the kicker. Palace insiders have whispered for years that Meghan played the long game. She didn't have to scream the rumor herself. She only needed to nudge it into the right ears, let the machine do the rest, and watch as tabloids ran wild. It's the classic chaos move: stay silent in public while fueling the storm in private. So the question is, did Meghan engineer this scandal single-handedly, or was Harry also in on the plot? Some say Harry, bitter about his place in the royal hierarchy, may have supported the sabotage. Others argue Meghan didn't need anyone's help. She had her own network, her own strategy, and her own reasons to strike. Either way, the effect was the same. One rumor, one spark, and suddenly the golden couple, William and Kate, were walking through fire. When Giles Corran fired off that reckless tweet, barely a handful of people saw it before it vanished. Under normal circumstances, that should have been the end of it. A messy rumor, deleted before it could breathe. But this is where Meghan's alleged army of online loyalists, the so-called Sussex Squad, comes into play. Critics point out that the speed of the rumor spread looked anything but natural. Within hours, screenshots of the deleted tweet were everywhere. Blogs dissected it, Twitter threads multiplied, and gossip forums lit up like wildfire. It was as if someone had pressed a button to detonate the story globally. That's when fingers started pointing at Meghan's digital fandom. The Sussex Squad had a reputation for mobilizing fast-trending hashtags, mass-reporting critics, and flooding timelines with pro-Meghan narratives. But in this case, instead of defending Meghan, they appeared to amplify the Rose Hanbury whispers. The theory? Meghan didn't need to shout. Her squad did it for her. And the parallels are striking. Years earlier, Meghan's critics accused her circle of planting negative Mean Girl Kate stories in the press, subtly reshaping the narrative of who was the victim and who was the villain inside the palace. With Rose Hanbury, the same pattern seemed to repeat, except this time the target wasn't Kate's personality, it was William's fidelity. And the strangest part, despite the lack of solid proof, the story refused to die. Every few months, it bubbled back to the surface, as if someone or some group made sure it never completely disappeared. So was this just organic gossip that spiraled out of control? Or was it a deliberate PR grenade, pulled and tossed by Meghan's most devoted defenders to protect her image and destabilize her rivals? Either way, the damage was done. The royal fairy tale of William and Kate was no longer untouchable. And Meghan, she had managed to stand just far enough away from the flames to avoid being burned. Once the Rose Hanbury affair rumor started rolling, it didn't just stay confined to blogs and gossip threads. It somehow crossed the Atlantic and landed squarely in mainstream American media. And this is where Meghan's critics say her PR fingerprints start looking a little too obvious. First, there's the alleged involvement of Sunshine Sachs, the powerhouse PR firm that once represented Meghan. Known for their aggressive behind-the-scenes tactics, Sunshine Sachs had a reputation for planting stories, redirecting scandals, and keeping clients in the spotlight, no matter the cost. Skeptics claim the viral spread of the Rose rumor had all the hallmarks of a dirty PR operation: sudden visibility, wide amplification, and just enough deniability to protect the source. Then came the Oprah factor. Not long after Meghan's bombshell sit-down with Oprah, Rose Hanbury's name was suddenly brought up again, this time on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Think about that. A story that had been swirling in dusty corners of the British press suddenly got a fresh injection of life on American primetime TV. And who was at the center of both the Oprah special and the Colbert mention? The dots were too tempting not to connect. Critics whispered that Meghan had weaponized her Hollywood ties, leveraging American media platforms to keep the rumor alive long after it should have died. Whether it was coincidence or strategy, the effect was the same. William and Kate's picture-perfect marriage was forced under a microscope, while Meghan and Harry's own controversies took a back seat. And here's the kicker. This wasn't the first time Meghan's name was tied to story manipulation. From anonymous leaks to carefully staged friend confessions, she had already shown she knew how to use the media like a chessboard. Which makes the question impossible to ignore. Was Rose Hanbury just another pawn in Meghan's larger game? Because if Hollywood and monarchy really did collide in this scandal, Meghan wasn't the victim this time. She was the director. To understand why Meghan would ever be accused of planting the Rose Hanbury affair rumor, you have to look at her history, because critics say it reveals a pattern of calculated ambition, each step carefully staged to climb higher no matter the cost. Take Wendy Williams' infamous revelation. Years before Meghan ever met Prince Harry, she allegedly pitched herself to Wendy's producers, begging to get a guest spot on the show. Not because she had anything major to promote, but because she was desperate for the exposure. Wendy turned her down, but that moment exposed something undeniable. Meghan wasn't waiting for opportunities. She was chasing them down, knocking on every door she could find. Then there's the Wikipedia page incident. Meghan's early bio described her as a briefcase model on Deal or No Deal and a supporting actress with bit parts. But just before she went public with Harry, her page was mysteriously rewritten to frame her as an activist and humanitarian, painting her as more than just another Hollywood hopeful. It was a rebranding exercise that looked less like coincidence and more like preparation for a royal role. This hunger for control over her image, critics argue, is the same instinct that could have driven her to meddle in the Rose Hanbury story. By seeding whispers about William, Meghan flipped the spotlight away from herself and onto the Cambridges. It was the same playbook she had allegedly used in Hollywood: rewrite the narrative, reposition herself, and push the competition into the shadows. And here's the brutal irony. Meghan once sold herself as the victim of palace cruelty and relentless press harassment. But in this scenario, she isn't the hunted, she's the hunter. A woman so determined to stay in the headlines that even the royal family wasn't safe from becoming collateral damage. Because in Meghan's world, critics say every scandal is just another ladder rung. And the Rose Hanbury affair rumor, that may have been her most ruthless climb yet. The Rose Hanbury affair rumor didn't just dent reputations, it detonated like a bomb inside the royal family. For William and Kate, the golden couple of the monarchy, the whispers were devastating. The palace's silence only added fuel to the fire. No firm denials, no open confrontation, just a carefully orchestrated move-on strategy that made the public even more suspicious. Meanwhile, Rose Hanbury herself was forced into an unwanted spotlight. A woman who lived in relative aristocratic privacy suddenly found her name tied to the future king in headlines across the globe. Her lawyers reportedly stepped in, sending warnings to media outlets and threatening legal action. But instead of killing the story, that legal response gave it oxygen. After all, why fight so hard if there was nothing to hide? And in the middle of it all stood Meghan. She never addressed the rumor directly, but her name was constantly floated in the background. The alleged instigator, the mastermind, the chaos agent who had pulled the pin and tossed the grenade. Whether true or not, her silence allowed the theory to flourish, and critics pointed out the cruel brilliance of it. Meghan never had to say a word. She just had to sit back and watch as William, Kate, and Rose absorbed the blow. Public opinion fractured. Some brushed it off as yet another tabloid fantasy. Others were convinced something scandalous had happened behind closed doors, and Meghan, of all people, was the one who made sure the world never stopped talking about it. For the monarchy, it was more than gossip. It was destabilization. If the next king could be tainted by whispers of infidelity, the entire institution looked weaker. And Meghan, she emerged, at least temporarily, free from scrutiny, while her in-laws bore the weight of scandal. But here's the thing about royal secrets. They never die. They linger, waiting for the right moment to resurface. And thanks to Meghan's alleged involvement, the Rose Hanbury affair rumor has become immortal. So here's where it all lands. A single reckless tweet from Giles Corran, amplified by whispers, screenshots, and shadowy networks. And suddenly, the perfect royal marriage was under siege. Rose Hanbury dragged into the spotlight, William forced into silence, Kate left to smile through the storm, and hovering just out of frame, Meghan Markle accused of orchestrating the chaos from behind the curtain. Was she the mastermind who planted the rumor? Or was she simply the one who knew how to keep it alive, letting the Sussex squad, her Hollywood allies, and PR operatives do the heavy lifting? Either way, the damage was real. The monarchy's golden couple suddenly looked vulnerable, and Meghan, whether guilty or not, was the name on everyone's lips. And that's the haunting truth. Meghan once claimed the palace feared her power. But if even half of these allegations are true, then maybe the palace was right to be afraid. Because what Meghan showed wasn't just survival instinct, it was the ability to weaponize scandal, to twist gossip into artillery, and to make sure the fire never went out. And here's the kicker. This isn't just an old rumor. It's one that refuses to die, resurfacing again and again like a ghost in the monarchy's hallways. Which raises the question, if Meghan really did play a role in this, what else has she whispered? What other stories has she slipped into circulation waiting to explode? This is Hollywood Daily Reports. Subscribe, stay tuned, and buckle up. Because if this leak was only the beginning, the next chapter could be even darker.